Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we have another Jumpstart Historic Horizons event. I've been having a great time with the gameplay in this format. It seems really juiced up, even more powerful than the original Jumpstart. And there are tons of cards from, of course, Modern Horizons and Modern Horizons 2 to add to your collections for your historic decks, but for me in particular, for my historic Brawl decks. So really fun format, super casual, play as much as you want, get a reward for your first 2 wins. Just a great time all around. So let's see what we get here. We've got Flickering, Scavenger, and Energy. I do like Energy as a mechanic in Kaladesh. That is pretty cool, but I can't really resist the 2-color decks, especially Flickering. We've got Soul Herder here, which is just a fantastic card. 3 mana for a 1/1, but whenever a creature is exiled from the battlefield, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. And at the beginning of your end step, you exile one of your creatures and return it to the battlefield. So Flickering is a deck that works really well with some good enter the battlefield effects, because you flicker your card out of existence, put it back on the board, get its trigger twice, and the artwork on Soul Hoarder is absolutely beautiful as well from Seb McKinnon there. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Flickering there. We have already gotten the Teo deck, so I'm not gonna go with Teo again. As I've said before, I have had 3 Planeswalker packets out of my first 4 packets total, my first 2 events. So it does seem like the Planeswalker decks are very, very prevalent this time around. And of course, seeing Teo again means we've seen 4 Planeswalker decks looking at 6 packets total. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'm not going to take the Teo here. We could take Animated, because I do love me some artifact stuff, or we could take Legion, and both of these do show off an Enter the Battlefield effect to work with Flickering. The Ranger Captain of Eos here, grabbing a creature with mana value 1 or less, putting it into your hand when it enters the battlefield. You can repeat that effect if you flicker it, and then animate there. Less of a good Enter the Battlefield effect, but I'm going to assume there's some artifacts in this deck with good Enter the Battlefield effects. I did just play a white-blue artifact deck in the last Jumpstart event, so for the sake of variety, I'm going to go with Legion, and I also think that Ranger Captain VO seems like a really good effect to flicker. So the Flickering Legion arrives. We're here to play some games. As always, I'm going to be hopping right into the gameplay. I like being surprised by the cool cards that I've opened up in Jumpstart, and because the format is purely casual for fun, and it doesn't matter how many times you lose, I'm not going to go super try hard and try to see all of the synergies and exactly how I should play everything in this deck and all of that. Ooh, a triple white 3/3 flying lifelink. Interesting card, but cool stuff. I'm going to keep this hand. This deck has a lot of lifelink. We've got Leon and Sanctifier, a 2/1 lifelink that gives a card in our hand lifelink. And the Healer's Hawk 3/3 flying lifelink. Some great stuff here all around. Our opponent starts with an Ornery Goblin. When it blocks or becomes blocked by a creature, it deals 1 damage to it. Cool. I think I'll just cast our Sanctifier here. That is not going to attack in well against that Ornery Goblin. Give our Cohort lifelink, because our Healer's Flock already has lifelink, and our Thraben Inspector only has 1 power, so gaining 1 life off of every combat instead of 2 seems a little weak. And yeah, it is looking like the Legion deck is going to work really well with Flickering. We've got a regular Cohort here. I don't know if this is from the Legion deck or the Flickering deck, but if it's from the Legion deck, that is another card that's going to work great with Flickering. Abiding Grace can return creatures with mana value 1 from your graveyard to the battlefield during your end step. Really cool. Alright, so we can like attack with Larun Force, right? If they do some kind of trade here, we're okay with it because it just comes right back. Sanctifier, I don't want to attack into a 1/3. But yeah, just keep attacking with Enforcer. I suppose they can just block with a 1/3 here, but maybe they'll expect a trick. I don't expect a trick. They do not expect a trick at all. I suppose I don't get to play Healer's Hawk. I need another white mana for that, so we'll play the Thraben Inspector. Sacrifice the Clue token to draw a card, see if we hit an untapped white source like a Plains here. And this also gives us a really good chump blocker, because if we chump block with the Thraben Inspector, getting that good Enter the Battlefield effect in the grave and then bringing it back with Abiding Grace, that seems like a great combo. So I'm more than happy to do that chump block. I mean, I'll even double block here just to get rid of the Storm God's Oracle. When it dies, it does 3 to any target, so they clear our whole board, but then Abiding Grace slowly rebuilds the 1 mana cards So I think all in all, it seems like over time it'll be a great deal for us. So they kill both of these creatures right now. This dies and then they kill the Law Rune Enforcer as well. But now I have really good targets for Abiding Grace because I'm going to have 2 1-drops in the grave to just keep bringing back. Yeah, the synergy in this deck seems incredible. This seems like a really good build. Oh, Vesperlark too. Return a creature with power 1 or less from your grave to the battlefield. Also works really well with flicker effects. Yeah, wow, this deck is sick. It's just absolutely incredible. I think I'm just going to cast Vesperlark here. Because I can, with 2 power, I trade into the Battle Rattle Shaman. I guess it would just die to Ornery Goblin. Yeah, it's probably just important to make some good blocks here. So let's get a couple 2/2s. But we have great plays coming up. Vesperlark bringing things back when it dies. Abiding Grace bringing things back every end step. This deck is sick. This deck is some fun stuff. Gem Palm Incinerator. So one of their decks is definitely goblins, because we've seen a decent amount of goblins, and then, you know, seeing a goblin tribal card like the Gem Palm Incinerator basically confirms that. But interested to see what the blue deck of theirs is. I guess it's a blue-red deck with Storm God's Oracle in there. I wonder what the blue-red deck is. Trying to buff up the Goblin. We'll trade with the Battle Rattle Shaman here, because the Battle Rattle's basically pressuring us with 4 damage a turn. The Goblin, the Ornery Goblin itself, is only pressuring us with 2 if we get rid of the Battle Rattle there. Ooh, return to the ranks. Return X creatures with mana value 2 or less from your grave to the battlefield. We've got 2 in there. I guess we have 3 in there, so if X equals 3, that's going to be insane. So I could just play like a 3/3 lifelinker here, and then their attacks with the 1/1s are really bad, and next turn I just cast a massive Return to the Ranks. I am absolutely in love with this deck. I think a lot of this has to be the Legions half of it, just a bunch of small creatures and ways to return them. But there's so many good enter the battlefield effects too, with Cohort, Inspector, Sanctifier, that I am certain that the Flickering half of this deck will work really well with this stuff as well. So unfortunately a Goblin Barrage is going to get rid of my lifelinker and kind of clear my board there, but now a Return to the Ranks is going to be exceptional. Everything with mana value 2 or less, so we just do X equals 3 here. Or I guess X target creatures, so X equals 3. And we can give that Vesperlark lifelink. Sorry about the phone ring there. So now our Vesperlark has lifelink, a 2/1 flying lifelink that returns something when it dies, or I guess leaves the battlefield for any way, so even if we flicker it, we're returning things. It just seems excellent. Prophetic Titan. Deals 4 to any target, so they clear out one of our creatures, but we got plenty of ways to bring them back. Or they grab a card out of the top 4. So they chose to deal the 4 damage here. Oh no, it's a Delirium deck, so if they have 4 or more card types in their graveyard, they get to use both of the effects, and they have decided to do that, because they do have plenty of cards in grave, so any Delirium cards are going to be active here. So Baffling Defenses, I'm not a huge fan of this card. Seems pretty weak in general. But it would be helpful a little bit. But I'm pretty sure we've just got the lockdown on this board state. Like, we can just double trade for Titan, trade 2 2/1s into that, and then just block 1/1s with this 1/2, and we're getting back a creature every turn, and getting back a creature when Vesperlark dies. We have blockers for centuries, and tons of value from Thraben Inspector and these clue tokens, so we can draw into what we need to close out the game after that. I'm feeling very good about our board state this game. It takes 8 mana to untap Vesperlark. Well, Vesperlark is basically just dead for a long time. Well, chump block with Thraben Inspector, bring it back. Just keep drawing cards that way. Don't want to mill myself, but I'm sure that there are some ways to just kill your opponents. In the Legion deck, at least. Do I hold 2 mana up, or do I just cycle here? I'm going to have so many blockers, I don't need Baffling Defenses to turn that into a 0-4 there. Oh, this card is so cool, this Abiding Grace. I'm going to have to pick up a copy for Commander. Definitely want to try playing around with this in Historic Brawl for sure. Because there's just a lot of good 1-mana cards with like good enter the battlefield effects. So you just chump block forever and then keep bringing it back after all your chump blocks. That just seems so good. We do have a Battle Squadron. Flyer with power toughness equal to the number of creatures you control. That's actually really terrifying and scary. The new word, Terry. So probably Baffling Defenses. That works, right? Just make it a 0 with toughness equal to the creatures they control, I think is how it would work. Unsure. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Costs 5 mana to pump the Chorister. We can sack this. And then we still have enough to pump the Chorister once if we want to. There's a Cloud Shift. Exile the Vesperlark, bring something back, get rid of that perpetual effect on it. Wow, that is good. Yeah, and we can do it at instant speed to surprise our opponent as well and get a kill on the Prophetic Titan. It only costs 1 mana to do that, so I get to attack in here, go for the buff, and hold the 1 mana up for the Cloud Shift. That is definitely the play. So we gain a bunch of life here. We bring back a creature. We Cloud Shift Vesperlark to bring another creature back. Put our Vesperlark back on the field untapped to double block Prophetic Titan. Aww, they don't attack with Prophetic Titan here. Well, still go for the Vesperlark combo. Does still cost 8 mana to untap this thing ever, so I could block. Alright, they just scoop them up. I was going to say I could block and bring something back, but I don't have any creatures in my grave anymore. I think they're just tired of the synergy here, and they realize I'm just going to keep blocking everything forever. So I couldn't actually perpetually block Battle Squadron because I don't have a 1-mana flyer to keep bringing back from the grave. So I would probably just not block here, because if I chump block with Vesperlark, then I'm not getting anything back this turn because I don't have a 1-mana creature in grave. I suppose the Vesperlark still has all the perpetual effects. The boatload of mana requirement to untap it, so it's not like we're going to attack in lifelink much, but I think I still wouldn't block there. I'd take 6, go to 12, but I'm definitely, at that point, I'm going to Baffling Defenses that Battle Squadron, and then their flyers dealt with, and we just keep attacking with Chorister. Their only way to really kill it would be either letting me kill all of their tokens, or letting me kill their Titan, and then I can just bring it back from the grave if they do that trade. So we're just going for the Chorister with buffs to close out this game. Just keep attacking with that. Anytime that it trades off and dies, we just bring it back. We can definitely whittle down their field with that. And then, yeah, I suppose even if Baffling Defenses doesn't work like I thought it did, I think it would make it a 0-6 and then a 0-7. However many creatures they have, it would have toughness equal to the creatures. But if I played it and it didn't work, if I got those rules wrong, then we just sit there tapping it down with Law Rune Enforcer every turn. Either way, some insane synergies from the Flickering Legion there. You've heard of the Burning Legion, but have you heard of the Flickering Legion? So Thought Monitor is the rare that we get here. Really cool card, one of my favorites. I am a massive fan of artifact stuff. I feel like I say that in every video, but my number one favorite kind of artifacts are colored artifacts. I started back when Shards of Alara block was the newest block of cards, and the Esper artifacts I quickly fell in love with. When I very first started, I really liked Naya and all their just massive creatures. But those Esper artifacts, the filigree artwork, just the visual design on colored artifact cards were really cool. So I love artifacts in general, but I especially love like blue, white, and black artifacts. So we are going first here. We've got Abiding Grace again. I love that. We don't have any 1-mana cards to keep bringing back with it. But until we get them, we can just sit there and gain life off of this. It's not like this card's completely dead when you don't have creatures in graveyard. So, yeah, I really love that versatility there. And we do have Segovian Angel, so now we have a 1-drop card to work with the Abiding Grace. But I am going to cast the Leonin Sanctifier here. I kind of want to give this Mono Skellion lifelink here. I like the idea of a 2/2 lifelinker that we can turn into a 1/1 to deal 1 damage to something and gain a life when we do that 1 damage. Seems really cool. Tazim Royal Mage, just a 2/1 on the board, so our Mono Skellion can shred that. If it doesn't just trade here. Looks like it will just trade here. Do I want to play the Mono Skellion or do I want to play like a Doomed Traveler? I think I just play the Mono Skellion. The one thing that I don't like about playing Mono Skellion is now they're just not going to play any 1 toughness creatures. If I played one of these 1-drops, they might have chose to play a 1 toughness creature here and then Mono Skellion could shred it away. But they do use a Fiery Temper to kill the Mono Skellion, so they probably did have like 1 mana creatures to play. No 1 mana cards in grave, so we're not going to play Abiding Grace. Let's just play a couple 1 mana cards so the Abiding Grace can go off next turn. Alternatively, we could play Vesperlark as just a 2/1 flyer, but that is very killable, and if it dies right now, we're not getting the leave the battlefield value. If one of our 1-drop cards dies, we're fine with that because Abiding Grace can just keep bringing them back to the field. Faceless Agent is the play. We'll see what creature type this is for once they cast something, but I'm going to assume probably like goblins. But yeah, seek a creature of the most prevalent type in their library. Interesting card, good card all around. Definitely attack in here. They might think that trading for the Chorister is a good trade because it has such a good buff effect, but little do they know, we have a Vesperlark and Abiding Grace in hand. Do I want to just Abiding Grace immediately? I don't think I do. I think I'd rather just play all these cards first. Let's go a little wide here. But we will be getting that Chorister back by the time that we have the 5 mana to buff it up. We've got many ways to do that. The incorrigible youths from our opponent, they definitely have like a madness deck there. Well, with the way our deck operates, we're taking every 3-for-1 trade possible. Like, they're killing 3 of our cards at the cost of only 1 of theirs, but these cards that we have are just going to keep coming back. They're not going to have any way to get rid of enchantments in a blue-red deck. So our Abiding Grace is just going to go off now. We have tons of 1-mana creatures in the grave to choose from to just keep spitting things out here. And I'm going to grab Thraben Inspector first to get more clue tokens to keep our hand fueled, drawing more cards, investigating. A Faithless Salvaging here. Interesting. Never seen that card before. Discard a card, then draw a card, and then they do it again next turn. At instant speed. Not terrible. Interesting card for sure. We have 5 mana now. Cast our Vesperlark probably. I suppose I draw a card first, and if I draw something better, I play that instead. Just a land. Yeah, we'll cast Vesperlark. Attack in, bring a 1-drop back. Flash in a Merfolk Trickster. I'm surprised they tapped down the Vesperlark here. I don't expect them to kill the token. I'm going to take any opportunity to bring back Thraben Inspector that you give me. So I'm happy with the block from our opponent here. It's just another card draw for us. We can just be absolutely swimming in the value. If I were my opponent there, I would probably have used Merfolk Trickster's ability on the attacking spirit token to remove its abilities, so it no longer has flying, so they just kill the flyer there. And they permanently kill it. They know we can't bring a token back with Abiding Grace. I think the only reason to tap down Vesperlark there would be if they were planning to attack in this turn. Ooh, which I guess they might be. Or they just have a Bubble Snare. That works too. Yeah, just keep it tapped down. That definitely explains the choice of the tap there. Alright, definitely drawing a card here before anything else. Ooh, return to the ranks. This deck is so sick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So X equals 5 on it. 1, 2, we got 1 up here. Sit here and draw more cards for now. There's the 7th land to be able to cast it where X equals 5. What is this? Create a squirrel and a crab. What? That's... When it dies, create a copy. A token copy of a token. That's so cool. Specimen collector, that's my jam right there. Alright, well... We bring one of the cards back right now with Abiding Grace, and then we can bring the rest back next turn. Bring the rest back next turn with Return to the Ranks. Just have a massive board again. I like getting the Doom Traveler back because it's like our best Trump blocker, because we can Trump block and create another Trump blocker when it dies, which is excellent. So if any of our creatures die here, we're just going to be spending all mana on our Return to the Ranks to bring back 5 cards, but if none of our creatures die, we just bring 4 things back. Alright, one of our things is going to die here, because we're going to double block the Trickster to kill one of their cards. They don't have any way to give Indestructible, right? This Phylin could get Indestructible eventually, but the Trickster does not have it. So here they kill one of our 2 creatures, but we kill their Trickster, and then we have enough mana to bring every creature in our graveyard back to the field. And just have infinite blockers, which is fantastic. We only need the 5, so we don't even need to convoke here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on back. Return to the ranks, my friends. Make this board absolutely ridiculous and give Specimen Collector lifelink for fun. And we just keep chipping in for a couple damage of flying every turn as we sit behind our massive board state. Our creatures are all tiny, but together we are unstoppable. Just the block with multiple creatures, do triple blocks even to kill their 3/4 or 3/3. Send all the 1/1s in, and slowly bring them back with the Abiding Grace. Over time, grind our opponent out with just a ridiculous amount of value in a war of attrition. This card is straight gas. This is definitely the card of the deck here. So another Faithless Salvaging there to keep drawing cards. The Hollowhead Sliver does it as well. Definitely have a Madness deck over there. Looks like Merfolk Madness from our opponent, because they certainly have Merfolk Tribal with Marrow Reejerey. It'd be really cool to see if they added enough Merfolk for... Would be really cool to see if they added enough Merfolk for that to be a relevant tribe in Historic now. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm certain that this format, or this set, will really shake up the Historic metagame, which is really cool. But yeah, I mean, with Phylin of Sea and Sky and Marrow Reejerey, like, this is some great additions to the Merfolk Historic decks. They might be viable now, like Goblins are. I'm 100% certain Goblins are going to be around, because Goblins already had plenty of good stuff, and they got even more. Ooh, Restoration Angel in the Flicker deck? Restoration Angel is in Historic now? That's insane. Well, I don't want to play Restoration Angel till I have something really good to Flicker, so I'm going to play the Specimen Collector first, and then I'll plan to Flicker that. We just keep sending it in the sky as we sit behind our mountain of blockers. Let's get another card draw off the Inspector here. Just always have all the fuel in the world to keep going in this deck. I love that we're just making squirrel and crab tokens now to add to the Legion. The Legion wasn't complete until we made a crab. We're going to make even more of them next turn with our Restoration Angel. So they don't have Indestructible, right? It's just the 4/5, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I can let some 2-drops die here, it's okay. That they won't come back with Abiding Grace. We have more than enough value without them. just off of repeatedly playing Doomed Traveler and Thraben Inspector. Ooh, another big flyer. This one's a 4/4 flyer. Our 5/5 Marrow Beeger's out. This is a Merfolk Falconer. Alright, well that's a problem. And I guess this is their first big flyer. I don't know why I said another. Well, we play a Healer's Hawk, we can flash in a Restoration Angel to flicker the Specimen Collector and get some more cards. Plus, then we can surprise block their 5/5 flyer with a 3/3 and 3/4 flyer. So that'll probably be the plan. I suppose we already have enough power to triple block the Falconer, so they might just not attack with the flyer as is. And I think Chorister's actually a really good attacker on this board. So I'm going to pick up the Chorister. It's 5 mana to do it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I draw one more land, we can double buff the Chorister for +6/+6, attack with a 7/7. Yeah, when we know we can constantly bring our Chorister back to the board, it's got to be an excellent attacker, and probably the best way for us to keep chipping in for damage on this board state. Burning Tree Vandals coming in, that's fine. We'll take a trade here because we can just bring back our 1-drop. Although I suppose I could just block with a 3/3 and see what happens. If something disastrous happens, we can flicker our 3/3. Plus we gain life doing that. Alright, so yeah, it looks like we just get the block there. They're just trying to draw cards. Trying to draw into some kind of solution to our board state. I could Restoration Angel to flicker Vesperlark, actually. I didn't realize that. And then we have another flyer here. But it's only a 2/1 flyer, so it doesn't really help with the Falconer problem. But in order to deal with the Falconer problem, we're just attacking with Chorister, right? They're just going to scoop them up when they see a Restoration Angel here. Fair enough. The Flickering Legion takes a nice, crisp, clean 2-0 route to victory there. An absolutely excellent deck. I want to take a look at this deck because we didn't even see our Mythic Rare that we got in the Legion deck. Wow, we're basically mono white here. We have 2 blue cards. We have Specimen Collector that we saw that game, and the Soul Herder that we never saw from the Flickering deck. So I mean, yeah, the mana base is also just really good. Just so heavy in on white mana there. Yeah, this deck was absolutely incredible. The ways to just bring back all of these 1-drop creatures for just great value throughout the game were just fantastic. Return to the ranks, a really big blowout every time we played it. Leonin Sanctifier was quite good. Abiding Grace, though, has to be the card of the deck, the #1 card, because every single one of your end steps bringing back one of your 1-mana creatures. Like, it doesn't really matter that the creatures are low impact. If they have a good enter the battlefield or death trigger, like Thraben Inspector constantly getting us clue tokens or Doomed Traveler constantly getting us 1/1 flyers, like, that's just so good. So the Vesperlark is probably from the Flicker deck, and it just happens to work really well with the Legion stuff. I'm guessing the Thraben Inspector is from the Flicker deck because it has a good enter the battlefield effect. Devouring Light, we never saw that, but this is an excellent removal spell. Really cheap version of Divine Verdict, exiling an attacking or blocking creature, plus you can convoke it. With the creature count in this deck, that seems excellent. Ranger Captain Vios, of course, definitely excellent. Grabbing those 1-drop creatures that are so important for this deck, and then you can flicker it with the flicker stuff. Healer's Flock was pretty cool, but pretty hard to cast. The Cohort, great, of course, and Restoration Angel being the rare in the Flicker side of things. Super, super good card. We never really got to see it in action, because the one time we casted it immediately prompted a concession from our opponent, but it is a great card. 3/4 flash flying for 4 is already a great rate in a format like Jumpstart, and then the enter the battlefield effect is just gravy there. Just flickering one of your cards to get the enter the battlefield effect on it. Again, super, super good, and great against tap down removal like the Bubble Snare that they threw on our Vesperlark. So, super fun, super great deck. I had a great time playing it as always. Let's see what we get for the second rare. a Blade Splicer, which is interesting because this is the kind of card I would expect in the Flicker deck, but looks like we didn't open it in ours at the very least, if it is one of the rares for the Flicker deck. But it's a pretty on-theme rare. This makes sense for both the Legions deck and the Flicker deck because it's 2 creatures on 1 card, and it's a great enter the battlefield effect to Flicker. So that will end today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I did playing it. If you did, you can always leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you more of these videos. And as always, I will see you all again very soon for some Magic Arena. Thank you.